Hi, I'm Kurt Benton. My musical story is pretty interesting because when I was just 5 years old, my mother made me take piano lessons. And I took them for 8 years and I hated every minute. At the end of 8 years of piano lessons, I quit and I didn't touch a piano for 13 years. After 13 years, I was a senior in college and I decided I want to play a piano. That was back in the good old days when you wanted a pumper, right? So we found out that an antique shop near Columbia, Missouri had a pumper for sale. And so we went out to look at it and he wanted $400. It included 100 rolls too. So I asked him if it worked. He said yes. I said, show me. It didn't work. So I bought it for $100. Well, we took it home and I'm an engineer, so immediately I started rebuilding the player part. I had parts all over the apartment. But in those days, the player part was separate from the piano itself. So I had this skeleton of a piano over here while I was working on the bellows. And I sat down one day and started playing by ear. And I haven't used music ever since. So I play what's in my head. It may or may not coincide with what's written in the music. I call myself from the Grandma Moses School of Music. Everything has to have a melody or I don't hear it. If I hear it though, I can play it. So that's how I got started and I've had a lot of fun. To me, music has always been in there somewhere and the issue is how do you get it out? And I won't forget this. About a year ago, I was complimenting Ron Bowd about playing at the church, and he says, well, you got to use your gift, right? Well, this is one of my gifts. So yes, I'm using my gift. I love it. I play piano at the Pavilion every Saturday noon. They love it. I know what I do, and to me it's kind of ordinary stuff, but they love live music, so I'm happy to do it. I have been told since playing at the Pavilion that it's calming to some of those people over there. And that doesn't occur to me because to me it's kind of a natural thing, but if it helps them, I'm happy to do it. I'm an electrical engineer and I worked for AT&T for 25 years and then ran a couple other companies, but my music has always been separate and distinct from that. I never, I performed in a few company shows and things like that, but that was never my shtick. That's just incidental to what I was really doing for a living. So I never mixed the two. I just enjoyed it by myself. I was in a troubleshooting group. There were 6 of us in the United States, and they hired us as troubleshooters, and they moved us every 2 years to go someplace and fix a problem. And we loved doing that. We were like tourists all the time. We moved from here to there to everywhere. We moved 22 times by the time we got here, but we loved every place we ever lived. We were equipped, we were trained very well by AT&T, so when they knew what the problem was, they'd say, go fix it, and we knew what we had to do to fix it. And normally, there's this flywheel effect. They've been doing this for 20 years, so why change now? But we would go in and make the change and fix the problem. It was a lot of fun. In the good old days, there was open wire for telephone circuits. And I was in Minneapolis at one time, and we had an open wire line to Sauk Center, Minnesota. It never worked. But they sent me up there to get it to work, and we got it to work, did the technical changes required. I had some good technicians, some good old timers who knew what to do, and we got it fixed. So it was things like that. There's one other incident I'll remember for you. We had a buried cable over to someplace in Wisconsin, and I had my old timer troubleshooting it. He says the problem is 12 feet west of such and such a hut. Now a hut is where all the circuits came together. So sure enough, that's where the problem was. I said, Elmer, how did you know that? He said, that's where I put the splice. So the old timers had a lot of knowledge that was never part of a written piece of paper. Over time, splices leaked. And when splices leaked, then circuits would get what they call crosstalk, where somebody on another line could hear what was going on with a different line. So it was a typical telephone problem in those days. When I was in 6th grade, I knew I wanted to be an electrical engineer. And in those days, which was World War II, they had junkyard cars full of old radios and so on. And I'd take an old radio and take it home and take the capacitors out and take the resistors out. I had my own soldering iron. And I learned about electronic components doing that. And I've never known anything other than wanting to be an engineer. This probably has an infinite number of voices, and I'll demonstrate 3 or 4 to you. But there's almost nothing you can't do on this organ. And if you can't do it, that's because you don't know it, not because it can't do it. So I'll just do a couple demonstrations for you. We're gonna pretend we're Guy Lombardo for a moment, okay? Now we're going to do a little Tijuana brass. Now we're going to do a little Tommy Dorsey. And we could do pipe organs, church organs, all kinds of things like that. But this just gives you a taste. For the whole of my life, I've been involved in music. My first memory is when I was in kindergarten taking lessons, which I hated with a purple passion. But throughout my life, my music has brought pleasure to me, but also to others. I used to play for church services at night and things like that. So I've always had this outlet, but I never pushed it. You know, if they want me to do that, I'm happy to do it, but I would never go say, I can play the piano, you need to use me in your service. I wouldn't do that. But it is a nice outlet. It's relaxing for me, and sometimes other people like it too. So I'll just play a couple more things on the organ and we'll see where it goes.